When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Grease Gobble YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about what did Varys hear in the flames when he had his manhood cut and all that, and what kind of happened along those lines. Why was Varys the one that, was sacrificed in this blood sacrifice type thing, and all that. And yeah, but before we get into the video, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do. We're pretty close to 700 subscribers. Actually, we might be there by the time this video comes out, not sure. But yeah, thank you guys for all the support as well. And let's get into the video. So my opinion has actually changed on this from kind of when I started this channel till now. So my thing is, for some reason, whenever the Varys and Tyrion kind of conversation comes up, and we hear about how Varys was cut, I always thought that Varys knew what the guy said, or the sorcerer, as is described, said. And this actually is not the case. And this is something I wanted to talk about in my rereading when I started, rereading the books, and this conversation ended up coming up. I just never got to it. And by the way, for you guys requesting videos, I'll bring this up now. I do have a very long list, so if you don't see your video, it's not that I'm ignoring it or your video idea. It's just I have so many ideas that have already been planned out. Like I have like a Google Doc basically of like all my ideas. So yeah, but I'll try to get to them as best I can. If you do have video suggestions, just leave them down in the comments. I will try to get to them as fast as I can. But yeah, getting back to the video, the idea of Varys knowing what was said in the flames is actually not, we don't actually know that, right? I think in the show, maybe it's said a little differently, but in the books, it's basically Varys hears that there is some sort of communication going on between these blue flames and the sorcerer, but he actually cannot understand it. He doesn't know what is being said. So that's why, for me, this actually changed my theory and my opinion on this topic, because I had always believed that Varys kind of heard how he was going to die or something along those lines. And I always figured it was going to be with Daenerys, kind of like they did in the show, but in a different way. Because in the books, I think it's going to be different, where Varys will probably die because he's fully backing Fagon. And then once Dany comes over and Fagon loses, I think that's where Varys becomes, yeah, he's going to die. But to me, that's not what happens here, because we know Varys does not understand what is being said, so it wouldn't really make any sense for that to be Varys hearing his own death. And the other thing here is that Varys really is not here for any particular reason, right? This is not for him. He's tossed aside right after. So this conversation that the sorcerer is having, or whatever these flames are saying, really are not directed at Varys. And the other thing I want to talk about this is, a lot of people always think that this is a red priest or priestess, and I kind of disagree, because there are a lot of people that use fire, and we even hear that there are fire mages in Essos, and Mir as a whole, right, where this, ends up happening or whatever, there is a lot of kind of fire stuff that goes along with that, and a lot of other kind of cultures use fire. And also, the reason I believe this probably wasn't a red priest or priestess is the fact that Varys uses the word sorcerer when he knows what a red priest or priestess is by now. So that is kind of why I believe that. And then the other thing with the blue flame is kind of hinted at in a lot of other different type of things, where we have Patchface, where he kind of says in one of his like prophetic little monologues, I guess, where there's kind of blue flame under the sea. And we also see in Targaryen history, there was a dragon that apparently blew blue flame. That's a weird sentence to say, but yeah, so we see that is in a lot of different type of cultures as well, not just kind of the red priest stuff. And we also see that the mages of Qarth, I don't know how to say it, also kind of have this blue kind of fire thing to them with the blue lips and stuff like that. So it's very interesting to try and understand where this is coming from. And also the other thing that I think is interesting is that Varys is specifically picked, and is picked at a very good price. Now, why would he do this when he easily could just kidnap a kid, or he could go somewhere else and probably pay a lot cheaper for someone that wasn't kind of, I guess, talented or in kind of a circus type thing? It's very peculiar. Now, does this mean that Varys has some sort of kingly blood? We see that this is a very common trend with Melisandre, and another thing is trying to do powerful magic usually requires blood sacrifices. So was this a kind of combination of the sorcerer was trying to do a blood magic sacrifice, where doing some sort of, blood sacrifice with, like, Varys's cock or whatever, and also was Varys maybe a bastard of the Targaryens or Blackfyre lines? Is he just a Blackfyre himself? I really don't think he's a Blackfyre, at least a legitimate Blackfyre, because we do hear that the main male line dies. So I think the way the Blackfyres would continue on would be through a female line, because we're, again, there's never anything stated about the female line. So I think the female line is probably, going through Illyrio's wife and then going then to Fagon. So I don't know about Varys being a Blackfyre. I think he could be a bastard and have some Blackfyre or Targaryen blood in him, and that is maybe why the sorcerer chooses Varys. But in kind of summary, where I think what this video is going to go is that I really don't think this will ever be answered, and I don't know. It's a tough one, because it's something that I go back and forth on, where maybe the sorcerer was trying to communicate with someone across the sea or somewhere that was hard to get to, or maybe this was this guy trying to look into the future like Melisandre tries to do, or this also could be something where we see where life pays or death pays for life type thing, where he was trying to maybe bring someone back to life or bring something alive. We just don't know. And that's kind of why I don't want to dive too far into this, because the more you dive into it, the less and less you have to work off of, the less evidence that we have. So for me, I think this is something that George just leaves as a mystery and kind of a smaller story in the kind of Westeros or Song of Ice and Fire story, right? I think Robert in Deep Geek kind of explains this pretty well. Before I recorded this video, I wanted to do some background knowledge and see what other people thought. And I think he does a very good job of giving that opinion where not everything needs to be tied in. And I do like that opinion. So if you guys haven't seen his video, it's a very old video. It's about 3 years old, but it's a very good video for kind of explaining what I've said in this video, and then also way more in depth and stuff. But that is kind of how I look at it. I don't think Varys's flame thing is going to matter a punch, right, in the future. And I think what that was supposed to do was more or less to build Varys's character. I think that was to make him hate magic, hate the Red Priests and Priestesses or whatever, and all of that, right? And we even see in the show it's never really answered. So I think George may or may not just doesn't have an answer at this point. Maybe he does change it and actually writes in an answer in the books. But for me, I think it was more or less to build Varys as a character, and I don't think we were supposed to sit there and linger on the words that were said. But let me know if you guys disagree with me. Do you think there was some kind of hidden message that in the flame, something of significance? Maybe talking about Azor Ahai, or maybe this is communicating to Bloodraven or something like that. And another thing I do want to talk about is that this is before Dany and the dragons came about, right? So the dragons were kind of the big reason that magic came back into the world, right? And we know that at this point, when Varys was cut, magic was something that was very difficult to do, and that is why it probably required such a heavy sacrifice, trying to get someone of noble blood, and then also doing a blood sacrifice. So it is interesting to me that we have those things, but we really don't get any evidence to what this could possibly be leading to. And maybe I'm overlooking something. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but let me know what you guys think on this one. I'd be really curious to see what you guys have to come up with this one. I don't really have a strong opinion on this one. I used to have a strong opinion on it, like I said, with the Dany stuff. but I don't think that's plausible anymore. I don't think, because it's clearly stated in the books that Varys did not understand what was being said. Now, this could be a lie. That is the only way I think George in the future could actually tie in what was said in the Flames, is if Varys was lying and just didn't want to tell Tyrion what was said, which definitely could be possible. But if he was lying, I think the only reason it would be because he's hearing how maybe he dies or something, or is given a vision into the future, and maybe that's what ends up happening. But even then, I don't know how that would happen, right? So let me know what you guys think, and I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Sorry I couldn't give you a direct answer of what the Flame said, but it's kind of hard to really predict that when even Varys really didn't know what was said either, and we don't have a lot of context clues as to what the Flame was or its origin, whether it was like maybe a R'hllor or it was some other religion. We just don't know. There's so many options that you could pick from with the Blue Flame. It's very broad, and you could pretty much go to a lot of different religions and a lot of type of people for that. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. And also, I promise the Purple Wedding video will be out tomorrow. I was going to do it last week, but I got really busy, and the Purple Wedding chapter is actually a lot longer than I thought it was when I was reading through it, because when you're reading through it and you're not like thinking about, oh, okay, I have to make an analysis on this, it goes by pretty quick. Like, but the Purple Wedding is almost a 30-page chapter. So yeah, and usually the way I do those chapter analysis is I'll read a couple pages, and then I'll pause recording, and then basically I will kind of go over a summary or whatever just happened the last few pages, and then yeah, it's a very tedious and long process. But yeah, so that's why that video was taking a little bit longer. I started recording it last week, and I just realized I didn't have enough time to get that done. So it should be up tomorrow. So if you guys are looking forward to that video, it will be up tomorrow at 7 p.m. at U.S. Central Time, like the usual. Usually post the same time around here. And yeah, that's about all I got to say. Also, if you guys want to check out the Lord of the Rings content, we got 2 videos up on the channel already, and those will always be posted on Saturday at 7 p.m. And yeah, thank you guys all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.